And next time I should dress more casual.
Sorry.
Okay, and we're live. So, hi everyone, and welcome to the 5th episode of a live stream series, Phemex Crypto Talk. My name is Victoria, and I'm part of the Phemex team, and I'm super excited to continue this awesome project. So the idea behind it is to have a place where everyone can learn something new that can help no matter your trading experience. And at Phemex, our main drive has always been to manage, to help others manage risk efficiently and trade simply and safely. And this is yet another step by us towards achieving this goal. And Phemex Crypto Talk is where we invite experienced cryptocurrency traders to discuss all crypto-related topics, from educational topics, personal experience, and knowledge to the latest news, market insights, and current events. So we strongly encourage all of you to actively comment and express your views on the discussions our guests will have, because during the live stream, our guests might answer your question, and if they choose your comment and questions, we will gift you with a $50 trading bonus on Phemex. And just for the early comers for this live stream, right now, comment with your exact predictions of the price of Bitcoin that will be in an hour, that is around 3 p.m. UTC, and your Twitter handle to it. If one of you will be correct and the price at 3 p.m. And at the price of Bitcoin at 3 p.m. Will be the same as your prediction, we will contact you and send you a very special Phemex merch set, including one of our hoodies and cup and some other goodies. So here in Phemex, we know you really enjoyed last year's events and on our social media. So please stay tuned for a brand new competition coming to all of you real soon on our Twitter. And as for today, we are super excited to welcome our very special guest from the crypto world, the CEO of Phemex, Jack Tao, Scott, known on Twitter as the Wolf of Wall Street, Josh, known on Twitter as Josh Rager, and our main host for today, Ryan, who is known on Twitter as Cantoring Clark. So, hi guys, could you please introduce yourself in few words, and maybe Jack, could you start?
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm Jack, the CEO and co-founder of Phemex. Happy New Year to everyone. And this is our 5th episode. It's great and good to be here. And we're about to talk about a lot of prediction of the new year, and hope you enjoy the chat.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm the host for today. My name is Ryan, also known as Cantoring Clark. I am primarily a cryptocurrency trader. I have 14 years trading experience now, and I'm also a co-founder of Blockroots with Josh.
Yeah, I'm Josh Rager, and as Ryan said, co-founder of Blockroots. And yeah, just super excited to be here, and just how can you not be happy with the price action going on? So
I'm Scott Melker. I'm Josh's unpaid personal assistant and Ryan's golf caddy, trying to get a job at Blockroots. They haven't hired me yet. I'm a crypto trader as well, and host a podcast and write a newsletter, and that's about all. That's about it.
Okay, thank you so much for this brief introduction, guys. And thank you for coming. We're so happy and that you're here. And so now for the topic of today, we are today with, I think, our classic guest of this Crypto Talk. And since it's New Year's, we want to discuss a bit about how the crypto market will actually be in 2021. Therefore, Ryan, if you please take over and let's just jump into it. Meanwhile, please, if the viewers have any interesting questions for our guests or you want to share anything, leave us a comment in the comment section.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot, Victoria. Yeah, so I think, I'll start off and we'll aside from getting into the predictions, I don't know about everybody else, but I did not expect Bitcoin to be trading at, I think this morning, what are we at? 38,640. So this is absolutely fantastic. I'm kind of, just to be as honest as possible, I am in a state of disbelief right now. It honestly makes me slightly uncomfortable to be trading at these elevated prices with this kind of price action. I'm bereft of words. I think that we all had that confidence, right, to be present in this market. But at the same time, there's always been sort of this, I don't know, sneaking suspicion and maybe degree of skepticism that you have as being a believer in any investment that, maybe it wasn't going to make a new all-time high at some point. Maybe, it was going to range like, any other commodity. So the fact that we're trading at, over $38,000 after New Year, I think it's just going to set the tone for the rest of the year. And I mean, I'm blown away. I don't know if anyone has any comments on current price action, but I'll let you guys talk as well.
Yeah, I think it's, I echo your same sentiment. In fact, it's funny because in all of my years trading, you kind of describe two emotions, fear and greed, that drive everything you're doing. And usually it's greed when price is going up and fear when price is dropping. But I think that I'm experiencing more fear as price goes up in this case, because you see these massive gains and there becomes a point where you have that balance between wanting to ride it indefinitely, but also fearing that you might miss your chance to take the profit and exit to some degree. And I've never really felt that before to this sort of same degree. I think it's also sort of interesting. We're doing a show about predictions, which makes you want to look back to all the predictions of the last year and years and before, and how there was this overwhelming assumption that we would break 20,000, come back and retest it and have this massive alt season and all these things that would happen. But in reality, institutions have just bought Bitcoin at whatever price and it's gone up. So all past predictions have effectively been moot. So that's probably a good disclaimer for whatever predictions we make today and our expectation of them actually coming true. I just, as you said, this is not how I foresaw things happening, and sort of shock and awe at this moment.
Yeah. No, I mean, right. I'm just gonna just agree with you guys. You just look at the high time frame chart, and I'm just looking at it right now. It just looks stupid. I mean, it's just you look at it and never would you have imagined, if you could draw it out, how it would look. Just be this vertical line, on the weekly and monthly. And I think the same thing is I think practicality wise, I'm a little fearful right now. And who says that at 38,000 Bitcoin and Ethereum that's about to hit all-time highs? And now you have these DeFi coins such as Yearn Finance just popping off as well, back over 30,000, and which is remarkable, because today I read on Twitter that somebody said a lot of people that he thought, I think it was Dejan Spartan, that that a lot of people will take profits too early this cycle in this market. And I thought to myself, like, how would you not want to start taking profits at 38,000? This is just crazy to give up that kind of money if it were to retrace. So a lot of emotions right now of not really knowing, hey, should I cash out some right now, or are we going higher? So
awesome, Josh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I closely look at the price movement. I was on holiday, and it was crazy, and I think it's true that we need to think about the downside. In crypto world, everything is possible, right? So we have been through, like, I think in early 2018, that the price reached the all-time high and sharply dropped to a very low price. And a lot of people FOMO. I tell you one story that I was in New York, I think it's late 2017. Now I went to a post office, and somehow I probably shipping some like a t-shirt with Bitcoin logo on that to my friends for some reason. And there's one guy reach out to me and asked me, how can I buy more Bitcoin? It looks like you're doing some business with Bitcoin. And he said that he cannot use his credit card because Coinbase has a limit on the credit card. So he just want to buy as many Bitcoin as he could. And it's crazy if you look into the trends on the Google search, that many people searching like how to buy Bitcoin at the moment, right? And there's a lot of news saying, oh, Bitcoin going higher. So I think it's I just tweeted earlier today, and I think it's our responsibility to warn that the investor or any amateur traders that you have to look on the downside and don't follow those. Don't be FOMO. It's very like a one-on-one lesson for all the beginners, especially for Bitcoin world, right? And one thing particular that I want to bring up is looking at the recent price movement and the trading volume on different exchanges. And you can see that we do reach the trading volume to reach like a historic high, but it's getting slowly slowing down. And when the price keep going up these days, the volume like kind of a flat, right? And so that's something that if you are an experienced trader and you have to look into that, and maybe we kind of reach a stage that probably the price has less motivation to go up. So that's my personal like warning and advice, right? Speak of a prediction, like I made a very bad prediction early on Twitter last year. So I think in the middle of last year, I made a prediction of the price will be around 8,000 by the end of 2020. So people can Google that. So I'm really bad on the prediction, right? So it's just my personal thought. If like I'm been trading in the traditional market, I lost money before, and due to those FOMO emotion decisions. So that's something that always keep in my mind when do some other investment.
Awesome, Jack. Thank you. You know, you touched on a good point, and I just want to reiterate on this, is that volume's slightly dropping off as price is rising. And this, like you said, Scott, I've never experienced anything like this. This is completely new territory for me. It's absolutely insane. Like Josh said, to look at the chart, and it's vertical. You know,
yeah.
And I'm battling this narrative of there's this sense of urgency by institutions, right? They're TWAPing into a market. They're just buying everything they can at market. But then all my friends now are talking about Bitcoin, and I'm conflicted thinking at some point, these newer participants, they seem like they're going to be the weaker hands, right? They're the last people to enter the auction. And I just feel like, you know, right now is I've been starting to hedge because I want to protect myself against what is probably a very sharp and violent, you know, drop, because markets, no matter how, you know, how narrative driven or how special we think crypto is, markets do behave a certain way, and no matter what, they're going to at some point have a correction. And I can't see that this market goes without a correction and just continues to move up. And if it does, you know, I'm hedged and I have to cover, and it is what it is. But I want to get into talking about maybe some of the things that we're excited about into the new year, either excited for good reasons or for maybe things that we're afraid of, whether it's about regulation or maybe rising interest rates. One thing that I'm particularly excited about because of all this institutional FOMO that has been talked about is now it's a matter of let's, you know, put up or shut up. Let's see if there are a lot of institutions adopting, because around this time of the year, we're going to have 13Fs released. So if you're an asset manager and you're managing more than $100 million and, you know, you have more than $100 million in assets under management, you know, as per the SEC, you have to file a 13F and basically say what your positions are. And, you know, I think that the next 2 months are going to be really exciting, because you're going to start to see, oh, all of these people that have been just talking about Bitcoin, you know, they've been sort of filling before shilling. Right? They have filled the last quarter. They've filled in fourth quarter. So that's something that I'm particularly excited about. I don't know if you guys want to iterate on some things that maybe you're looking forward to, or maybe you're even worried about, you know, either way.
I don't know if it's either specifically. I just think that 2021 is going to be the year of clarity for the space to some degree, particularly with regulators. Obviously, I think we've seen what's happening with XRP, which sets a precedent for, I mean, countless coins to finally, you know, have clarity as to what they are or how they're deemed, at least in the United States. So I don't know if I'm excited or worried about that. I'm just eager to get that clarification and move on and not have to hear about what might happen from governments or what the United States particularly might do, because I think that we're going to finally have those answers this year. At least I hope so. And I don't think regulation is bad. I think that dumb regulation is bad, right? I mean, if it's being regulated by people who don't understand it, that's bad. But I think that seemingly there are competent people moving into positions of power who can make probably rational decisions. So I'm hopeful that we'll have a better understanding of what we can and can't trade and our expectations moving forward.
Great points.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think regulation is a good thing, right? Because when it comes to regulation, we're going to have more adoption. There's certainly some of those things, such as the self-custody wallets, the privacy of that, and some of the regulations that are trying to go through right now. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that. Again, privacy of money is important. That's a whole other issue, right, to talk about. I think that kind of stinks, but in the end, the SEC, talking about XRP and everything else, and all these assets that are being looked at that are potential securities. Yeah, I just think that that's good for those of us who maybe aren't necessarily in XRP. I mean, I'm sorry for anybody watching who is, but again, a lot of that money could potentially flow into other assets, specifically DeFi assets, right? But then also back into Ethereum and Bitcoin. So I'm super excited to see just what happens this year with that. Not excited to have to pay my taxes this year for 2020. Just kind of crazy, but yeah, that as well. I think we're going to see more and more stuff. I just bring up taxes because I feel like a lot of these regulations are coming into hand because the governments want their cut, right? And it's been too easy in the past for crypto traders to kind of get out of that. And I think that there's going to come a time with more on-chain analytics and these regulations where it's going to be harder and harder to get out of. So that'll be interesting as well as a trader.
Great points, Josh.
Yeah, tax paying is always a pain. So I remember I filed it's hard. I haven't since I left the United States. I haven't reported taxes anymore. I think last year was my last time to report, and I don't know, guys, how you probably trade them much more than me, and it's tax season is coming, and I hope you guys find a good tool to report all the trading details. And I'm not sure if regulation changed this part. But I remember in 2017, 18, 19, I paid a lot of taxes on my personal trade. It's good not to pay any taxes to the government anymore. Just now. Sorry, guys.
Must be nice. Yeah.
I think that one of the things, just to reiterate on regulation, I think that one of the things that that is more apparent as Bitcoin is adopted and we're seeing these regulations start to increase, or maybe they're getting the wheels turning in the right direction, and especially with ETH being listed on the CME soon, I think one of the things that we could put to rest now is any kind of tether related FUD. Because now that we have major institutions adopting Bitcoin, what it's showing you is that they're not worried about putting their foot, dipping their toe in the water anymore. So I think that moving forward, the one thing that ultimately we're beginning to filter out is a lot of the nonsense narrative in crypto. And I think that, as you said, Scott, there's a lot of clarity this year. So I think that there'll always be those fringe people that they have conspiracy theories and certain out there beliefs, but I think that moving forward, like you said, Scott, it's going to be a really good year in terms of clarity. I wanted to touch on, just to segue into the CME, what each of your opinions are on something like ETH being listed on the CME, and whether you think that is going to have the same sort of effect that it did on BTC, like you're going to have the run up and then you're going to have this major blow off. And then if ETH is, after this period, going to go through a longer term cooling down period. So I don't know if you want to start off on that.
I'll go ahead. I think that obviously the most dangerous words in investing are this time it's different. But I think that in 2017, when futures were launched on Bitcoin, there was overwhelming eagerness to short it to the ground and a lot of hatred about the asset and people who viewed it as worth nothing. I do not think that's the case now. I think that actually there may be people eager to take advantage of the potential gains of being long an asset with, endless upside instead of trying to short something that everybody's FOMOing into. So I have no idea. Also, in 2017, it was much harder to short crypto assets than it is now. You can already find a way to short Ethereum heavily if you'd like to, right? So it's not like they're just opening the doors to every person on the planet who ever hated Ethereum and wanted to short it. So I don't have that same fear, but you'd be remiss not to at least pay attention since we've seen it before, right? We did see it with Bitcoin, so it should be on the radar. But I think there's more people eager to find a way to long Ethereum with leverage than to try to bet against it.
Great point.
It's a good point.
Go ahead, Jack.
Go. Okay. So I think it's a good start, like listing on CME that it's an entry point for lots of institutional investors, right? And even that relatively the volume compared to other exchange on CME is still small, but it's still a good start for introduction to lots of investors who want to touch this kind of investment tools. But problem that CME has a problem that they don't support 24/7 trading, right? It's a huge risk over the weekend. And I'm curious to see that if CME that all those traditional exchange, are they going to upgrade their system to support like 24/7 business? And this is a very interesting thing to see if they truly want to upgrade their system, integrated into this new industry.
Great points.
Yeah, that's really good points. Just how the weekends, it's different, right? For sure, as a trader, that's something that trades 24/7. And just looking too at the chart. I think Ethereum is in a different place, right? That Bitcoin was in 2017 when it was listed. You literally had Bitcoin that went from $800 in January of 2017 to $20,000. Close to $20,000, and so BitMEX was over 20K. And so you already had Bitcoin at these remarkable multiples that where it started at the beginning of the year. And Ethereum's different, right? And I think it's in February that CME is going to list it, right? I think so. But the whole point being is by the time we hit February, ETH might be at new all-time highs, but it's certainly not going to be, 10x the multiple, or basically $1,200 right now. So it's in a different position, right? It's not not going to say that it's not overextended, right? Because it was at 80, $90 earlier in the year. But the whole point being is that it's a different place fundamentally as well too. DeFi, it's all built on Ethereum for the most part. There's Polkadot and there's other things coming out right now, and that's going to be a hot trend, but it's all built on Ethereum. And so as DeFi continues to catch fire, as it will continue to do, it just gives Ethereum more value. And I think, as Scott said, there's just this this probably purpose or reason behind people seeing a reason to want to long Ethereum. But eventually, they're going to get that opportunity to put in those shorts, right? And it's going to probably be a very violent short when we hit the peak tops. But until then, I think that there's a lot more upside than there is downside for sure.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I think that if there's one thing that, and I've said this before, like if there's one thing the market frequently gets wrong, it's the magnitude of moves. So I getting back to some of the earlier stuff we touched on, and this applies to ETH as well, is that things tend to persist for quite some time, right? Well beyond, the concept of, or the popular phrase, markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. So it's hard to believe that it's just beginning when it's already, everything is, Bitcoin moved up 900% off the March lows. I don't even know where ETH is at now in terms of percentage gains from the March lows. But yeah, I think that eventually you'll have that blow off. But ETH, I think that it's in this context, it's different, right? ETH has sort of, it's getting listed on the CME at the perfect time, right? When the whole market is really beginning to heat up, when we're having, this new rush of institutional adoption, and institutional adoption provides clarity and I guess a certain sense of certainty to retail participants as well. So it should be very interesting for the next few months. I could easily see ETH doubling from here, which brings me to my, I guess, one of the next more important points to get to, which is predictions, outlooks, what you think, what you're excited about for the coming year. I'll just say myself in particular, I don't do, Josh, your big fundamentals guy with DeFi. I get lost in the sauce when it comes to that stuff. I am a big guy when it comes to technicals. So what I like to do is bet on the winning horses, right? And the things that I'm most excited about are what the smart people are excited about. And I think that it is some of the DeFi blue chips. I think Polkadot is going to be outperforming within the next year. So I am in particular excited about SNX, Aave, Dot, and I think that Link 2 is also going to have a tremendous year as well. It kind of went dormant for a little bit, which is good because if anything, that lack of correlation, I think that was a breather. But what are some of the things that you guys are excited for the coming year? Or the assets, excuse me.
You can go ahead, Scott.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that in general, I've sort of alluded to this as well. Like the back half of last year was sort of the year of DeFi, right? 2020. And I think that will continue into 2021 as that market matures. I think we'll see less, 2000 APR yield, food scams, and see these platforms starting to actually, mature and we'll see which horses are leading the race, sort of as you alluded to. I also think that there's going to be a huge year in the NFT space. And, my approach to that is also picks and axes. Like I'm not a NFT collector. I'm not speculating on art because it's just not my world and I don't know. But the platforms that are doing, big things in the NFT space, like Terra Virtua with the very, cool, like sort of virtual reality galleries and things like that. I think all of that will be very, very big. I'm very bullish on anything in the DOT ecosystem. I'm not a huge fundamental guy, but kind of like you said, Ryan, maybe I take it one step further. I love like Polka Starter and, there's a lot of hype around that. I invested in that early and, so I'm closely watching the projects at IDO on that platform and things like that. But as a general umbrella, I would say I think that DeFi will continue to just absolutely boom. I think we saw the bubble pop and be rinsed, and now we get the sort of mature, real view on what it can be. And then, the evolution of NFTs, I think, will take years, and it won't just be art. But I do think that that's going to be a huge movement in the space.
Awesome.
Yeah. I
do
mean,
like
I
it.
think. Go ahead, Jack.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead,
me
guys.
this time. Thank you, gentlemen. I mean, same things. DeFi specifically, you look at Uniswap, you look at Sushi. I mean, those two are going to continue to perform well. Specifically, talking about regulations again, right? You can't really control who trades on Uniswap. You can't control who trades on Sushi, and I think just the volume is going to continue to increase as the learning curve. People learn that, right? Because swap. I mean, much like leverage trading and derivatives, it's a learning curve, and people have to learn how to do that, to trade that. Same thing with swapping and MetaMask and all that. It's a learning curve. And so I think as more and more people adopt that, you're going to see volume continue to increase on that. I think anything that Andre Cronje, however you say his last name, anything that Andre touches, it's going to be on fire, right? So, you've got Yearn Finance. Now you've got all these partnerships with Cream. You've got Sushi and Cream and all that, all that whole ecosystem. I think that those are going to continue to do well. I think anything that he touches or anything that he creates is going to be on fire. So again, for people to look out for that, I certainly have the guy on alerts whenever he tweets, because I want to get in any asset that he does tweet about, because it's an automatic 2x from there. I think that that's going to be good. NFTs as well. I think I agree. I think over time, digital art, we live in a digital world. We live in a digital society now. We have digital money. Why wouldn't art become digital, right? So I think in the end, people are going to see the value of that. So I agree with Scott as well with the NFTs.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do like DeFi. I think DeFi will be huge, especially when Josh mentioned that regulation. It's a huge challenge of our regulation, right? And also the community doing very good things, and they're not trying to like scam people. They are really building projects. They put a lot of resources on those projects, and so which is very good. And it's an ecosystem has been built upon the Ethereum, and the platform keep evolving, and 2.0 is coming, already came, and there's a lot of, they already staged the change over there. So I do expect that in 1 or 2 years, there's more and more better DeFi protocol and projects coming up, even for existing ones, they'll continue success. But the thing is that as a developer myself, that for those projects, it may be not coming that soon, right? Probably at the earliest, they have to test, they have to run their production, they have to run in production, and there will be some bugs. And I think the lessons learned from last year, and those project developers will be more caution and do more testing before launching the production, right? So it takes times for those projects to go to the next stage. And my expectation will be maybe later this year. But overall, that I think Ethereum, if you're not familiar with DeFi, and if you're new to the cryptos, I think investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum in long term should give you a good return. That's my thinking.
Great.
And whenever other cryptos or DeFi projects successful, eventually that it gets Bitcoin more popular, and that's why more and more Bitcoin believers these days, and than ever. I think Bitcoin itself, even the platform itself, has like kind of not improving much these years, and but I think the concept, and people love Bitcoin, that it's the first digital coin that changed the human history, right? And I think that's the value in Bitcoin as well.
Excellent points. Yeah, just to reiterate on something that Josh, you said, the learning curve with DeFi. I think that if anything, we might have even a more sustained and longer lasting alt cycle after sort of Bitcoin cools down, because when I first got in crypto, and I'm sure many of you share the same feeling, you log on to Coinbase, you buy Bitcoin, then the process of sending Bitcoin to another exchange was like this process of, for me, it was fear. I'm paying attention to every little portion of the hash to make sure it's identical. Then you're going in and trading altcoins, but you're still on an exchange that you're familiar with. If you're trading on TD Ameritrade, if you're trading on a brokerage platform, the basic structure and UI of the exchange. And now it's like you have these decentralized exchanges that are a step further. And so I was helping a friend sort of set up his crypto account recently. And as we were moving along and progressing through each of the things that I'm doing, he wanted to sort of stop at one point because it was too much for him at that point. Okay, teach me Coinbase, and then I'll learn the rest of the stuff after. So I think if anything, the learning curve of the decentralized exchanges, using, swapping and using MetaMask and all these other one-inch exchanges, I think that this is going to help sustain an alt cycle because of that learning curve, because you just have less people figuring it out all at once. So that's something that I'm really excited about. And I just started thinking about that when you mentioned that, Josh. Victoria, do we have time should we start going over some questions in the chat right now? I know we have a bunch of people in the chat, and maybe we'll touch on some of those points.
Yeah, sure. If you want to, yeah, you can go through the chat. And cool. But actually, then thanks for this discussion. It's always great listening to you. And please, Ryan, choose the questions, and the questions you guys will choose, we win $50 trading bonus. And if any of our viewers see that their question is being picked, please reach out to us on Twitter or our Telegram to receive the bonus.
Okay, so by all means, everyone who's in the chat, go ahead and ask your questions. I see a question right off the top that I think is worth addressing, and this is by, forgive me, Muse Ashia. And the question is, hi, as crypto overall market cap reaches 1 trillion, do you think that crypto, and I assume you mean, do you think that crypto is still a speculative asset? So I'll field this off to one of you guys to answer.
I think that that crypto is highly speculative, but Bitcoin is less speculative than it once was. I'm not sure if that's exactly what they were asking, but I think, you know, you don't see billionaires and publicly traded companies putting an asset in their treasury that's truly speculative, because they have to answer to lawyers, shareholders, their board. And, you know, so I think we've seen Michael Saylor and others sort of change that perception. But when you start to drop maybe beyond Ethereum, it becomes purely speculative, just in a more mature market.
Totally agree. Josh, you agree?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Bitcoin, Ethereum. You know, for me, that in itself is why my portfolio is Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then you have other altcoins, regardless of how bullish they are in DeFi, but definitely Bitcoin and Ethereum, because that's what's on CME. That's what's taken seriously, right? And so, just with the amount of volume in those two assets, just with you know, you're seeing these funds buy Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum. You're not seeing them talk about, you know, the food coins and stuff like that. You know, regardless of how bullish I am on sushi and Uniswap and stuff like that, they're not really necessarily talking about that, right? So I think there's always speculation, but I think after this cycle, certainly more and more everybody's going to know about it if they don't know about Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? So
excellent points. Okay. Next question I'll get to is, and I think that I'll right off the bat give my opinion on this. I think I did originally, but do you think that the main reason for the latest gains has to do with massive issuance of centralized stablecoins like USDT, and how to protect ourselves if the bubble bursts? And I think that no, I don't think that the latest gains are, and I'm sure all of you will iterate on this too. I don't think the latest gains are from the stable coins. I think that the stable coins provide access, right? They provide a conduit to gain access to the assets. But I think that, you know, it's very clear that you have this sort of this get off zero moment, as Pompliano says, all at once, where there's this sense of urgency by institutions to really just get a small, sometimes, allocation compared to their overall portfolio. I mean, we're not talking about them, besides Michael Saylor, and, you know, the guy put the team on his back. But we're talking about institutions just picking up, you know, what is to them a fractional amount of the asset. And that obviously provides a lot of momentum for the rest of the market and serves as a signaling mechanism to the rest of the market as well. So I don't think that it has to do with USDT. And I think that the fact that the institutions are willing to, again, sort of stick their neck out there is more credence to the fact that there's no real major, you know, USDT bubble burst to worry about. So, you know, you guys want to iterate on this too. I think you probably share the same sentiment.
yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, if you just look at Bitcoin, at the total supply is 21 million, and there's currently circulating 18 million Bitcoin. There's not enough supply to go around. I mean, I think that just kind of says what it is with all this money coming in. You just said, Ryan, you know, even just a partial small amount of their portfolio going to Bitcoin, there is so much money in the world, right? And there's so little Bitcoin specifically. And people forget also too that there's a lot of people, holders, who were in Bitcoin long ago who aren't selling their Bitcoin still. It's in cold storage. And so when you see that 18 million current supply, that also doesn't count the 3 to 4 million Bitcoin that have been lost, right? That are never going to be returned because people got rid of their laptops, got rid of whatever. They lost it when it was like 50 cents, when it was really nothing, right? And so really, potentially, there's only 14 to 15 million Bitcoin currently in circulation, right? And so when you put it in that perspective, there's not that much Bitcoin to go around. When there's lost Bitcoin, there's Bitcoin that is in cold storage, and then you've got all these people who want in. And so I think that is a huge, that's a huge part of why we see this sudden soar, because people are putting money in. And even though it's not that much money, it actually is, right? I mean, as far as their portfolio wise, it's not that much percentage wise. So I think that we'll continue to see that. Yeah, certainly we're going to see dips, but that's why we see this surge right now, personally.
Great point, Josh.
Yeah, I think the Tether thing is dead. And it may have been valid in 2017 when it was a smaller market and Tether was a larger player. But if you look at market cap, I mean, even a complete collapse of Tether right now would be, a bump in the road, I think, for the market as a whole, because it's just over time, as the market has matured, has become a much smaller percentage and much smaller player in the market. USDC is growing. And we know that USDC is, whether you think Tether is or not, USDC is more than backed one for one, dollar. So I just think that it's one of those things. It's a carryover narrative that no longer has any weight.
Yeah. So the worry about USDT is always been there, and the good thing is that there are so many alternatives like USDC. And there are some other like PAX and other stable coins. So there are lots of choice. If you do your homework, you can avoid some risk if you worry about. That's I think it shouldn't be a big problem.
Yeah.
Great point. And even more and more now, like I've talked about dynamic set dollar, and there's ESD, and some very confusing for a lot of people. But there's these algo-backed stable coins that aren't backed by collateral. I mean, the protocol itself stabilizes it and is trying to find an equilibrium to $1. Now, right now, all of those are currently still going up and down, probably a little too much for people to be comfortable as far as a stable asset. But I think in due time and over the next year, you're going to see a lot of these protocols, these decentralized protocols that are algo stable coins, eventually hit $1 to where they only max go to maybe 105 and max contract down to 95. And those are going to certainly be alternatives too for people over time. So.
Thanks, Josh. Victoria, do we have any more time for another question or?
Yeah, sure.
I see one question from Light Kazuma. So he asked, hi, Jack, as we saw regulations are coming, do you think a centralized exchange will take a hit from regulations? How important it is to have a more decentralized exchange? I think a regulation for centralized exchange is not the biggest concern. So it is not the biggest concern. And as a lot of jurisdiction has provided guidance and helping that exchange to go through those process and be regulated. There are lots of exchanges already get the license, and Phemex is also working on that. It's a long progress, but that's something we are working on that. We don't think that they kind of lots of countries open their mind and they welcome. They want to regulate the central exchange to give extra protection to those investors and users, right? This is a very reasonable. I think it's nothing bad at all. And actually, that's all could be an advantage of central exchange, right? And some people saying that central exchange, the most worry is that what if that they get bankrupt or they have a system issue that all the money gets stolen, etc. Right? But decentralized projects have the same problem. So I don't think and they could have a more problem than central exchange, right? I think there's no I don't think there's no answer to say which one is the best. And my opinion is that decentralized exchange and central exchange should be coexisted for a long time. And especially decentralized exchanges still in the baby stage, right? They're not friendly to use. They have a scalability issue. Their transaction per second is much smaller than central exchange, right? They don't have customer service, and they have learning curves. There's so many other things. While the central exchange provide a wide range of services and put a lot of resources to keep iterating their products qualities, right? Provide a customer service. So it's I think it's there's a lot of choices for beginners or other traders and investors. And I don't think at this point which one you have to choose, which side you have to choose. That's all the decentralized exchange and the centralized exchange is all the open options to every users. And I'm glad to see that decentralized exchange to keep growing. I really hope that some good project can build on some very stable, welcome, popular platform, and that could bring some new stuff to this industry. And I think even for centralized organization, and it can participate in those projects, as we can see. Lots of so lots of central exchange participants exchanges and the projects. So it's all connected. I don't think there's divided world. It's all in crypto world, and everything we want to do is just to bring a bridge in a different way to connect the traditional market to the crypto market.
Thanks for the clarity, Jack. That was a great answer. All right, guys. I think Victoria, do we have time for another question, or? I can't tell where we are with time right now. My contacts are a little blurry and my clock is a little far away.
We can do one or two more questions if you see anything interesting, if the guests see anything interesting to answer to.
Okay, great. All right, so really quick. And that last question, just to tell you guys, since they win something, that was from Herp Derp. So Herp Derp asked that question about USDT. And then let's get to, okay, so Jack, I think this will be another question that is more geared towards you. What are Phemex's plans to add other commodities and other pairs in the near future?
Right, so we do have a plan, and some exchange already listed some fintech trading for stocks, and that's something that it's all about like we need to go through those compliance and regulation rules, right? That's the thing that I hate, like traditional markets, right? That's it's a super tricky, and if you do anything wrong, that the company will take a hit, and right? And I don't want to say anything too details, but one thing is it's a central exchange can do this kind of a business if they do this right? If they protect investors, good. There's something we're trying to do, but there's some other things, other products. It's all also on the pipeline, and we have some more products coming very soon. As you probably on the whitelist is trying period. We have our earn crypto projects going live very soon, and the year return is relatively higher than other exchange. So, and we use third-party vendor provider services, etc. So there's many things that we're trying to do, and just we are super busy at the beginning of this year, and all the teams and projects has their own plan, and we're trying to figure out like hundreds projects, what's their priorities, who is working on what's the conflicts. It's that's a lot of things to do. I can't say right now. I have a big picture, but I don't have the timeline for each project. I cannot promise at what point that we can deliver what products, and there's so many moving parts. Maybe there's one DeFi surge again in Q1, Q2. We have to move all the priorities to deliver some new products. Something I cannot promise right now. But the thing is that we're trying to provide more and more services in our platform, and just give more tools for users, different range of users to for their investment goal.
Great answer, Jack. I think that hey, if anything, traditional assets are not that exciting right now compared to what's going on in crypto. So I think that it's better.
Right, that sounds a good point.
It's better to prioritize where all the eyes are going right now. So I think that I'll pass it off to Victoria, but I want to thank you guys for tuning in and for your great questions. I know that I enjoyed myself. So Victoria, if you want to take it off.
Yeah, thank you all for answering and picking up those questions. And well, that's about it for today. And we are done with the 5th episode of the Phemex Crypto Talk. So special thank you to everyone who has joined us today, tuned in, and took part in the live stream. We really appreciate your support, and we hope to see you again during the next episode of our Crypto Talk real soon. And special thank you to our guests, Jack, Scott, Josh, and of course our main host, Ryan. You were all really great. I feel like I've learned so much about you. It's always so interesting to listen to you discussing. And I'll be looking forward to meeting with you again real soon. Yeah, thank you all again. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys. See you next time.